So Galen, here we are in the forest, but normally at this time of the year you'd be running around the mountains.
Yeah, exactly, in Usta Valley doing the Tour de Géants.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that a little bit later on, but you've got a really interesting story and I'd kind of like to have a bit of a chat with you about that. But that's not a London accent, so...
No, I'm working on it. I've been working on it for 10 years. No, but I'm originally from Canada.
Obviously a runner, but I think was it ice hockey was your...
Yeah, ice hockey was what it was all about growing up. As you know, the posters in my room were of ice hockey players, and that only stopped when I realized that there's only 3 rinks in London, and they took about an hour and a half to drive to for just one session. So.
And then, so what was the transition from ice hockey to running?
I just looked for something that was quick. You know, you put your trainers on and get right out the door. I looked at Ironman, but that was a lot of equipment. I looked at adventure racing, and that was even more equipment. So it looked like running was just a very efficient, effective, and fun way to explore the city and get out there quickly and get your exercise in.
And so, obviously, that's how we bumped into each other, was through running.
Exactly.
But the reason you stick in my mind is I remember you kind of ringing me and well, we had a chat, and you kind of said, I've been told I can't run anymore, and I've got to give up running, but can I at least come and see you and just see if that's the case? Yeah. So tell me about that.
Exactly.
Seems extraordinary now.
Yeah, it does. It seems outrageous, although at the time it was pretty devastating. So I started doing about 10K. My goal is just to finish some 10K races to keep me motivated to run. But every time I'd run, my knee would swell up like massively, like the size of a small watermelon. And it would hurt and be painful. And this then carried over to even walking. So I'd walk for 20 minutes and the same thing would happen. And I know when I was just hanging out with friends and like, oh, let's go to the pub. It's just 20 minutes that way. And I'd be thinking in the back of my head, oh no, 20 minutes. That means my knee is both knees are gonna just be killing me by the time I get there. So I went to see a specialist. And at the time it was very cutting edge. He put sensors into my shoes and I ran on a treadmill and he analyzed the sensors. And he's like, interesting. And I was like, so what is it? What is the interesting bit of this? And he's like, So I can't tell from what I'm seeing here why this is happening to your knees. And so I said, well, like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, well, you know, what they say, some people aren't born to run. He literally said that, people aren't born to run. Okay. And so he said, you will never run again. And I was just like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, what does that mean?
It didn't break it to you gently. It just told you will never run again.
He's like, so just stick to ice hockey. You like ice hockey, right? And I'm like, yeah, but you're telling me I'm 26 or 7 at the time. I'm never going to run again? And he's like, yeah, it's an impactful sport and like you weren't born to run. And so by that point, I was obviously very demoralized. Yeah, and I had a rough 2 years of exercise and became extremely overweight. And that time I was committed to trying to run again. Because I was like, I can't be now like almost 30 and never being able to run again. So that's when I gave you a call when I got back into my running, because I wanted to just try everything.
And then, yeah, so you obviously came along and we had I think we worked together on 5 sessions, didn't we? But yeah, it came along for your first session and right. Yeah, and I think pretty quickly kind of identified what was good and what wasn't so good with the movement.
Yeah, I remember you gave me good news and bad news. The bad news was that everything was wrong, and the good news was you're going to make great progress really quickly.
I think you had a good smile. I think I remember you smiling well on camera.
Yeah, it was much better than you'll never run again. So.
And it's been amazing, hasn't it? And it's a story I see a lot, and a lot of people come to see me, tell me that they've been told they can't run, or you're just not made to run. So what was that? So what's that journey been like then? Because obviously we've worked together, and I've been working with you, or we've worked together on your movement. But I have to say, and this is not me being kind, you really have taken it to the extreme, if you like, and have really taken this movement stuff on board. So how's that journey been? You know, what's that been like?
It's been an incredible journey, and I think since I know the pain of not being able to run, I'm so scared of going back to that place that I'm very dedicated to the process. But it was slow. It was slow and hard work. You know, like after your training, I would take that on board and I'd implement it into a bit of a training regime where at least once or twice a week I'd be doing things specifically focused on my technique and better form, which has paid dividends. I've never been injured since I started working with you and since I've been back. So it's definitely worked, and I still do it twice a week or at least once a week. So
we were chatting about that this morning, and that's really refreshing because so many people come and you kind of work with them and you get them moving well.
Yeah.
But then just assume that's it, and it's not something that people constantly practice and think about. But so alongside building a big engine, then you're just constantly working on the movement.
Yeah, Exactly.
Excellent. No, it's been a fantastic story, and certainly one to inspire people, because so many people must be told constantly, you can't run. Running's bad for you. It's going to hurt you.
Right.
Where actually, it's been an incredibly positive thing for you.
Yeah, it's been excellent.
And as I said, you've taken it to extremes. So yeah, you're not running around the Tour de Géants, but that's not your fault. It's not actually a thing this year. So tell us a bit about that race for the people that don't know that race. It's an amazing race, and it's an amazing feat even to take part.
Right.
To do what you've done in it for 2 years on the trot is amazing. So tell us a little bit about that.
So it's a race that happens every September. It's about 200 miles, although they say it's 200 miles, but really it's about 220. They just stopped counting because it's so long it doesn't really matter anymore. It has...
That's not your navigation.
Right, yeah, maybe. And it has about 30,000 meters of elevation gain and descent. So it's just up and down the whole time. You're just going over mountain passes. I think there's about 28 of them. And you circumnavigate the Valley of Aosta, which is starts in Courmayeur, and then you go all the way around and back. It takes about 75 to 80 hours for what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Sure. And through that, you have to manage your sleep, you have to manage your food and the highs and lows. I think the temperature last year went from about -20 on one of the peaks, like my water bottles were freezing. I couldn't actually get any water out, to 30 degrees in the down at the base.
That's a pretty big swing.
Yeah, that was insane. And just trying to navigate that, and it sets off the stomach and stuff. Yeah, and then the whole time trying to run elastically and dynamically. So,
and 2 second places,
yeah,
which is incredible. But knowing you the way I know you, you probably would like to do something about that. So, is that a plan for the future? Do you think you'll go back? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just can't stop thinking about the Tour. I need to go back, because not only is it a great race in terms of where it goes, but the scenery is amazing, and the whole valley comes out to support the race, and they're so happy that people are there racing this race. It's one of the weirdest experiences I've had, because during the race I'm doing interviews. So I'm climbing up a hill, I'm 70 hours in with about 45 minutes of sleep, and people are interviewing me as I'm going. And then I'm signing autographs during the race, and it's just like what is it? Am I hallucinating? I don't know, like, what is happening? So it's amazing. Yeah, just the atmosphere of the race is spectacular.
And with the obviously you need an amazing engine to be able to do that kind of race, of course. This might be a difficult question or even an unfair question, but how, if you had to give a percentage of how much you think cardiovascular fitness is important and how much movement is important, do you have a thought on that, or do you think they're just both important? Is there a synergy?
They're definitely both important. To come out away with a quicker time in the Tour, I think it's absolutely essential to move well, because it'll just get worse and worse for you if you don't move that well through it. So you can get by on a 100-miler. Probably just doing, like, I'm sure I could have on my old poor form, but it wouldn't have been pretty, and it would have been really broken down. But the key for the Tour especially is when you get into the second and the third day, you need to still have good form, because you still need to run. So it's hard to say percentage wise, but they're both extremely important. You have to have the cardio, and you have to run beautifully.
Yeah. And so what about the future? I mean, I see obviously a sponsored athlete now, which is another indication of where you've gone. So sponsored by Montaigne, so that's exciting.
Yeah, really exciting. And I had a really surreal experience actually at the Tour. It was 2 years ago when I was lining up in the front pen, which I never thought I would. And when I started running, right when I came to see you, I was watching YouTubes, and at the time Jez Bragg was all the rage, and he had just won UTMB, I think. And I lined up next to him, and I looked over, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Jez Bragg! Like, Jez, can you give me an autograph?" And I actually told him, like, "Jez, I watch YouTubes of you," and he's like, "Oh man, this guy's weird," and he like moves away. It's great working with the team, and it's totally surreal actually being a sponsored athlete. Something that I never even dreamed of. When I started, I thought I could just finish these races, but now, like, working with the team, and I get to help design their kit and stuff with input on that, which is so much fun. Because now they're even coming out with a bag that I'm like, this is perfect. It's exactly what I've always wanted, and I could never get. So yeah, it's been unbelievable, and the team there is amazing.
Yeah, and I guess it's almost that power of the group thing, isn't it? Everybody's learning from each other and producing better athletes, but better kit for the athletes to be able to use. So that's great.
And we work together too as a team of athletes too. So we were bouncing ideas off each other and stuff. So we're constantly in communication. So it's great.
Anything you've got your eye on, apart from the Tour de Géants, obviously, anything else, or is it just being out there and running, or will you see where it takes you?
Is the main thing that I love to do. But I do have my eye on a couple. So the Tour de Géants again. I think the Montaigne Yukon Ultra and the Arctic, which is quite a 430 miler and up in the Yukon. So yeah, thinking about that, and a couple other races, but really it's all dependent on what opens up. So
So exciting future. Well, it's been, you know, I've really enjoyed working with you and on the journey so far. So hopefully we'll get to see each other and work with each other again in the future, and yeah, see where it takes both of us.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much.